Hey y'all, and welcome back. We're gonna go on into the second devotion of the day, and it is from Psalms 119:65 through 72. Psalms 119:71 says, "It was good for me to be afflicted so that I might learn your decrees." And we're gonna go ahead and start reading from chapter 119, and we're going to go from verse 62 all the way through, or no, verse 65 through 72. I'm sorry. It says, verse 65 says, "Thou hast dealt well with thy servant. O Lord, according unto thy word, teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I have believed thy commandments. Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I have kept thy word. Thou art good and dost good. Teach me thy statutes. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. Their heart is as fat as grease, but I delight in thy law. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver." And then the devotion says, "The brain is remarkably small, but stress can make it feel smaller. Recent research has revealed that cumulative stress can shrink the prefrontal cortex, part of the brain responsible for managing emotion, impulses, and social interactions. This shrinkage is linked to anxiety and depression. Highlight the toll that a lifetime of stress can take. But there's good news. The brain plastically allows it to heal through intentional practices like exercise, meditation, and meaningful relationships." The psalmist in Psalms 119 understood this idea of growth and healing after facing stress and hardship. "It was good for me to be afflicted so that I might learn your decrees." Affliction though painful, became the psalmist's teacher, taking us from being astray from God to choose to obey his word. The psalmist expresses gratitude for his bitter medicine and God's goodness. Verse 68. Which he understood that affliction and suffering could diminish him. He trusted God to use those experiences to refine and restore him. Verse 66. Like our brains, our spirits are capable of being stretched. God uses this stretching to cause growth and renewal. Through scripture, prayer, and a spirit inspired perceptive, we can reverse the effects of our hardships. He can use our afflictions for our growth, transforming pain into purpose. The first question says, how has God helped you grow in faith through suffering? And if this does not mean something today, nothing does. But for me, I believe from July 15th, 2023 until this very day, I feel like God has helped me grow in faith because I have so many stories to tell. I have so much to be thankful for, and we all have something to be thankful for. We're thankful for breathing. being alive, and just so much stuff, so much stuff. But I think the greatest thing for me, and the way I have grown through these years, is, for example, May 3rd, 2018, when my father passed away, I was lost. And not only was I lost, I was a mess. I wanted to stay in my home where I wasn't growing. I wasn't where I should have been, looking back on that now. And me selling my home was supposed to hurt me because I didn't get no money out of it. I didn't get nothing out of it. But what I did do, which will bless me in the future, and has blessed me actually, is I sold my house to pay for my mother's funeral, or grandmother, however you want to look at that. She raised me, so it's my mother. But in general, I was in a state of grief because I wasn't there for when my mother passed away. And I don't have her ashes now. But looking back on that now, like I stated in the last video, I ended up living in like 3 different places, not including the boyfriend who passed away. But each step of that was a growth that I didn't know until now. And I thank each and every one of them for those lessons. And I think for me, the biggest growth that I have been through has been recently. Because I always speak of December 20th, and I always will. Because that was the night my whole life changed. And even though I still go through trials and tribulations, I think now I can genuinely say that I'm thankful for it. Because then it was supposed to bring me down. It was supposed to knock me down. I wasn't supposed to get back up, is how I felt. Because I felt like people were trying to punish me for something I didn't have no control over. But in general, I can look on it now and say thank you. Because if not for them, if not for selling my home, if not for feeling like that was the only option I genuinely had, I wouldn't have met the people I've met. I wouldn't have done the things I've done. I wouldn't have visited the way the the places I have. I wouldn't have my sweet boyfriend, fiance. I wouldn't have Miss Thing back here. I wouldn't have the lessons I even have. And I think personally for me, that this is what it's about. I wouldn't have my um schooling right now. I wouldn't have my music career right now. I wouldn't be doing my devotions, my 2 devotions each Wednesday. I wouldn't be doing my dance fitness. I wouldn't be um helping my fiance with whatever it is he needs help with, or being there for him, or being there for my sister-in-law, or being there for my brother-in-law. I wouldn't have it. And what was supposed to knock me down just turned out to be just a little speed bump. And that's how I look at life. It's just what's supposed to knock you down, it falls on you on how you react to that. Did I hate them? Did I despise them? Did I don't know. Basically those two anyway. Yes, I did. I hated myself for a hot minute for even considering selling my house. But like I always tell my fiance, look what I've been missing. If I had stayed there, it's like a flower coming out through cement. If you've seen it, you've seen it. That is like on a sidewalk, you see um a flower growing through the cracks, and you're like, you're determined. And that's me. That is how I would describe myself. Because for myself, it's like that was the sidewalk. Each step I made was the crack getting bigger for me to grow. And even though they probably watch this and they probably hate everything I say, and that's fine because it makes me feel good. Not that they hate it, but because I'm making a valid point. Because in my mind, I was called stupid. I was called ignorant. I was called just about everything you could think of in the book, saying I wasn't going to amount to nothing. And here I am, sitting here with y'all, saying that, okay, I'm doing circles around people that have hurt me to the extent of what, you know, um, I wouldn't have my horse. I wouldn't have Brooklyn. I wouldn't have Princess. I wouldn't have Cliff. I wouldn't have Jane or Jenny or Frankie or my best friends, Victoria, Chelsea, Cass. I wouldn't have none of them. Well, I would have had Cass regardless, but I mean, not the point. If I didn't go through what I went through my lifetime, if I didn't make the choices or the mistakes that I made, I wouldn't even have her or anybody else. My life would be going a whole nother way. Like if I was a CEO right now, I wouldn't be able to discuss my problems, discuss how life is treating me and how I've changed it around. And I wouldn't be getting my bachelor's degree. Like I said, I would not be doing none of this if I had taken another path when it forked in the road. I wouldn't be where I am today. And even though I do suffer from depression, I do suffer from anxiety, I do suffer from hurting myself, and it's rough. But now that I'm doing the music, I'm putting in the work, I'm putting in the effort, I understand now. People always told me, the way you get out of depression is if you go to work and stay busy. That's not true. It may work for them, but that's not true. Not for me. For me, the way I'm not saying I'm beating depression, and I'm not saying I'm winning depression, because I have my good days, I have my bad days. But what I am saying is writing my pain on paper or on a computer and sharing it with the world, being vulnerable is what's helping me, because I'm not as mean to Frankie anymore. Me and Frankie don't fight as much. I mean, we argue, but who don't? That's not a if you're not arguing with your spouse, you are not living a healthy relationship. I mean, you could be. I ain't taking that away from you, because I know for a fact that a few people are not the arguing type, and they don't like confrontation like that, so that's understandable. So I do take that back. But you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have something that that person don't like. But it falls on you how you react to that specific situation. And that's what that means. And um I feel like that's what that question means. How has God helped you grow in faith through suffering? It's gotten me to the point where I want to get closer to Him. I want my music to be based on real life events, real life stories, real life faith through tribulation type of stuff. And the second question says, how have you embraced gratitude? And Honestly, I think that's probably the only thing I don't even have an answer to. I mean, for me, I'm not really sure how this question really means or what it really means, but the way I see it is, how have you embraced gratitude? I think it's just continuing on, because if I had stopped, or if I had done something that would have hurt everybody else when I had the opportunities to do that, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it's just like that just dawned on me, because sometimes I do feel like I'm worthless, and I do feel like I'm not needed in this world, and I don't have a purpose. But I feel like I'm doing my purpose, because I remember speaking to Hayes when we'd sit in the car and we'd talk, or we'd be sitting outside under the tree, the cedar tree, and watching cars pass by and just smelling the roses, as he used to say. And I told him, I said, I wish I could find my purpose in life. I said, I feel like it involves music, because every time I try to do something new, I always fall back on music. So I told him, I said, I think it's something to do with music. I said, I want to be a singer, songwriter. I want to put my songs out there. I want to put my pain out there. But I feel like people were going to think I'm stupid for doing it. And Hayes always used to say, don't worry about what they think, because they're not the one living it. He said, Shy, it's like this. You've got a purpose. You just got to find it. And I said, I understand that, Hayes, but I mean, look at it this way. I said, you've done your purpose. I said, you're a mechanic. You're who everybody comes to, Ford related anyway. But any type of car, but if you knew Hayes Gore, you know what I'm talking about. But you know, I think he was probably the greatest lesson I've ever had. Not in a bad way, but looking, just that question just sent me back on this, because just because we argued and we fought didn't mean that we didn't love each other. That was the whole reason why we probably did, if we're gonna be honest. But I told him, I said, Hayes, Daddy worked at Omnova. Daddy farmed. Daddy made knives. You know, people come to him for advice. People come to him for help. That's what I want. Mama did ceramics. Mama painted. Mama can draw. Mama can sing. Mama, doing mama. And you're a mechanic, and people come to you for advice, and people go to mama and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, that's what I want. Not for me to feel like a know-it-all, because that's probably how most people would feel, because I know I felt like that sometimes with them. But not as much mama and daddy or Hayes, but just people in general. But, you know, it's like emotional now, because, I mean, I'm dealing with grief. I mean, not just my lizard, not just, Lexi, my dog, or my other dogs that was taken away from me while I was living with somebody else, because they said I abandoned them. But even the ones that wanted to do me harm helped me, and it's emotional, and I'm trying not to cry, but it's like, y'all help me, because I'm able to write stories. And whether my family says, oh, she's lying about half the stuff she's talking about just for looks and likes and comments and all this, that's fine. Let them think what they want to think, because I don't care about how many subscribers I have. I don't care how many comments I get. I'm being real here, because Through It All album that was released yesterday for Daddy's birthday just kind of made me think as well, I've come a long way. And I can't help but thank God for that. And that's why I started these devotions, so I can give back to God, because look at where He's brought me. I mean, I might not be 100% healthy right now, and I might not be able to work like I wanted to, but I was at the point in my life in 2024 where I just kept working and working and working, because I was determined to finish my 3 goals I had set in 2023 when my mother passed away, which was get a car, get a job, and get a house. And looking on that now, and my boss at the time, he just he thinks that I quit working because of Frankie, and that's not true. I quit working because I had to. And nobody saw, they only saw the outside looking in. Oh, she's smiling, she's happy, she's this. But what people didn't see when I left that store was a girl who could not stop crying, who could not stop throwing up, who could not stop, hold nothing down, who could not keep doing the way she was doing. And the people that was closest to me in the store saw that, and even he saw it. But you know I was a good worker. I mean, and I'm not bragging by no means, because I'm not perfect, but I'm thankful for Kelly Price. He was he was he was and is and always will be one of the greatest bosses I've ever had. And people talk bad about him all day, and that's fine. But me getting to know him personally is probably the greatest thing I've ever got to do. And the manager of the meat department, Mr. John, I mean, he was the greatest. He's the greatest. Him and Kelly are the greatest. And I mean, people are going to disagree with me on that. Well, not for Mr. John's sake, but Kelly's probably. But I'm that type of person where I get to learn a person and I know what they're about. Now, they could be lying to me all day, and that's fine. But I know the type of person based on what I'm around. But I got to the point where, in at that point in my life, it was hard, and it was it was what nobody was seeing, because I kept showing up, not just for the store but for myself. Because just because I'm living here with Frankie, I'm like, well, he's going to get rid of me. He's going to get tired of me. He's going to get tired of my depression. He's going to push me away. He's going to get mad at me and all this. But it turned out to be, I completed my task. And now there's more for me to do. And that's where I'm at in the midst of my struggle, because Kelly had asked Cliff one day, because they go to church together, how I was doing. And at that moment in my life, I was so depressed that I was hurting myself. And I would get mad at Frankie, and I would just say, okay, go away. So, number one, he wouldn't question what I was doing, even though he questioned it anyway. Number two, he figured it out the next day. And number three, now he knows not to leave me alone. And no matter how aggressive I got, he's always there. But people were putting pressures on me from my neighborhood. The way I felt was, okay, now they're watching me. Now they're expecting um for me to fail at what I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm not able to keep working, but I'm not able to stop this front either. And I've just come to a conclusion where now I'm starting to take care of myself. I'm starting to rest. Maybe not rest, but I'm starting to slow down. Okay, I can't even say slow down because that would be a lie too. But I'm starting to go my own pace, and it's not showing up for everybody. And being out of work for a year, and last year it was so bad to the point where I was sleeping every single day on the couch because my body was so exhausted. And I don't sleep. Like, I do not take naps all day and then sleep at night. And back then, I missed half of 2025 because of that. I couldn't enjoy being outside. I couldn't go with my best friend, even though she was pregnant at the time. I couldn't go with her swimming like we did. And this summer, I'm probably just going to have to face the facts. I probably can't now. And we may possibly get a pool. I don't know. But I'm okay with whatever the future brings now because I've got plans. I've got stuff I've got to finish. And school and my music is my top priorities. And this is my top priority. And my dance fitness is my top priority now because it's me. It's taking care of me. It's putting me where I need to be because I've thrown my health out the door so many times to the point where now I'm, excuse me, pre-diabetic and um I still don't have answers I need to a lot of stuff, but I know now since I'm exercising, I'm becoming more active compared to last year. I'm not hurting as bad. And it's just you can't help but thank God because of all the struggles you have gone through this year. And I'm speaking to y'all specifically. And if y'all feel this, I mean what I'm saying. Like, I'm proud of y'all because y'all may not be right now. Y'all may be in a place in your life where you're not where you want to be in life. And I was there, and I kind of feel like this is the start of something different because my bachelor's degree just means so much to me, but not for myself. Does it help me? Yes. But not so I could brag and say, you know, I finally graduated college, even though I've been trying to do this since 2017, but I couldn't make up my mind what I wanted to do. But, I can actually, like, hold it up when I get it and say, Daddy, I done it. And that's the most emotional part about this journey is my parents ain't here to see it. My biological parents are, but they don't count. And that sounds mean, but it's true. They don't count because, and I'm not throwing nothing against them, but they wasn't there when it counted. And for Kevin, that is a forever type of pain that he's missed. He's missed my graduations. He's missed my proms, my first car, well, he didn't miss my first birthday or my third birthday, but being in prison half about 90% of my life, it just it's what he lives to regret. And he tells me that when he talks to me. And he's just like, I'm sorry. And he's the only one I've got an apology from that didn't involve Loretta being rude. And that's just putting it nicely. But in general, I'm thankful for that because though it hurts, I'm able to write about the pain I feel knowing somebody else has probably the similar pain, and I may have the key to their success, and I may have the key that will help them get through that dark spot. And that's why I feel the way I feel about this, and that's why I love doing these devotions. But with that being said, I've went over 30 minutes. So I'm going to stop here with this prayer, and it says, "Loving God, thank you for teaching me through my trials. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen." But I'm going to stop it here. But if this has touched you, share, leave a comment. I mean, I don't care what you do, honestly. But I just want to um say thank you for watching, and say thank you um for being who you are, and you know not being so judgmental, and not thinking that I'm just doing this for views and likes and comments, because I don't care about any of that. I give credit where credit's due, and I just want y'all to be able to find the place y'all are at, and just say, okay, today's the day I'm going to make that change. Because I feel like personally, I've made that change and not even thought about it. And it's making my life so much better. But like I said, I'm going to stop here, and I will see y'all next week. I'll see you soon. Bye.